everyone, and welcome to the third annual JQT Hanukkah Hotties. My name is Carmel Tanaka. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm the founder and executive director of JQT Vancouver, a volunteer-run Jewish, queer, and trans nonprofit dedicated to queering Jewish space and Jewifying queer space in Vancouver, BC, on the ancestral and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. For Hanukkah this year, we are being generously supported by Creating Accessible Neighborhoods, an organization that advocates for and educates about disabled people with intersecting identities. You can learn more about this fantastic organization doing amazing work at canbc.org. Our community partner this year is LGBTQ at the J, the heart of Toronto's LGBTQ plus Jewish community, providing queer Jews opportunities to gather, celebrate, and thrive. For each candle of the holiday, we have a Hanukkah Hottie joining us to light their hanukkiah, or perhaps share another tradition, and chit-chat about the wonderful things they do in life for the duration of the candle's burning. For our sixth candle of Hanukkah Hotties, we are joined by Dylan Adler, a queer Japanese Jewish comedian based in New York, as well as a musician, a writer. He's currently a writer on the Late Late Show with James Corden, and he has performed for Comedy Central and the New York Comedy Festival as a comic to watch. He's been featured in Vulture and Jezebel for his show Rape Victims Are Horny Too with Kelly Bachman, which also made the final round of the Yes and Laughter Lab. Tuning in from Los Angeles, please welcome Dylan.
Hello, Carmel. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. Woo!
Yes.
So happy to have you here.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
I mean, it hasn't been that long since the last time we chatted.
No, I'm in the literal same position as when we last chatted. Exactly. It's been a good I'm glad to see you again very soon.
To see you too. And we'll dive into how we know each other and what brought us together in a hot second. But first, why don't we open the space and create sacred space with lighting our hanukkiah?
Yes, exactly.
So here's my...
Amazing. Yes. And I don't have mine, but I can sing, it's as though my hanukkiah is here. I can with this candle. Is that and it's like through the Zoom I'm lighting yours.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so let's do that. You can put the candle really close here and then I'll catch your flame. Okay, hold on.
Great.
Let's do this.
Great. Okay.
Movie magic a la Zoom. Totally doable. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yes. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna catch your flame.
All right, here we go. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvusel Vitzivanu Lahadlik Ner Shel Hanukkah.
Amen.
Amazing. It is as though I passed the candle onto yours. Oh, that looks so beautiful.
A bit precarious. I'm worried about that one. But yeah, there's light.
There's light. Let there be light. It was as though I really did pass the flame from LA to Vancouver.
Actually, Zichron Yaakov in Israel, so it's a little bit further.
Oh my God, sorry, to Israel. That's right.
All the way to the Holy Land, baby.
All the way from LA to Israel.
Yeah. Well, you know, I did something similar during the pandemic with my nephew. I was we obviously pre-vaccine, we couldn't celebrate the holidays together. And he was young enough to
Hmm.
still fool him a little bit. So I taught his dad, who's not Jewish, to put some flat cracker into a white cloth and to be the matzah. And on our end, we
Yeah.
broke it. We put it into the handkerchief, and then I passed it through the
Uh-huh.
webcam, and then the dad brought it from around the computer. Literally, this kid's jaw
Uh-huh.
dropped. I became the coolest person
Whoa.
on earth for a hot second.
Oh, that's neat. That's neat. That's fucking,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah, it was
very sweet.
amazing. And then,
You're
of course,
like,
he goes hunting for it.
yeah, I love that. You're like the
Yeah.
cool, like to your superstardom.
Yeah, but now he's too cool for school and me and
Okay.
all the things that I used to do for him. Yeah, he's getting older. I mean,
Okay.
boys,
Okay.
you know what it's like.
It happens. It happens.
So we have lit the candles, and
Hmm.
I want to know everything about you. And how about we start with just a little family background?
A little family background. So I'm from the Bay Area originally. My parents met at UC Berkeley. My dad is Jewish, my mom is Japanese. And we celebrate Hanukkah um every year. And my sister, who she has low functioning autism, and every year we light the candles, and she loves to like say the prayers along with. And then because the she also loves the birthday song, because there are lit candles, she also then requests that we sing happy birthday happy birthday after the candles are lit, because she likes the candles, and I think she thinks like it's like a birthday too. So after we light the candles, we sing happy birthday for her too.
Would you like to sing happy birthday?
Let's sing happy birthday for my sister. Her name is
Let's
Hannah.
do
So
it.
let's say Hannah. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
day
to
to
you.
you. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
you.
Actually, we say happy birthday, dear Hanukkah. Happy birthday
Hanukkah
to
to
you.
you.
And my sister really likes that too.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, happy birthday,
Yeah.
Hanukkah.
Happy birthday, Hanukkah.
And that brings
Exactly.
us to how we know each other. Um, I come a knocking on your door because someone told
Uh-huh.
me that there's an amazing comedian who is also Jewish and Japanese, and I'm working on
Yes,
the Japanese oral history project. And I just slide
exactly.
into your DMs. I'm like, oh, hi. Would you like to participate in? You're like,
Absolutely.
yes.
Yeah, and I was like, yes. I was it was I because I only knew one other Japanese Jewish person whose name is Jared Goldstein, another gay comedian. But I mean, there's such a huge community of Japanese people around the globe. So I was like really just excited to be a part of this project and like learn about the work that you're doing.
I mean, it's been a wild ride, and I'm just super curious because the last time I talked to you was several months ago. Um,
Yeah, that's right.
has it been like for you post interview for this project?
It's been it's been nice. It's been nice because I also did an interview for another project about just mixed Asian people in this country too. And so it's been like a lot of really cool, interesting kind of like identity reflection and reckoning. And when it comes to being mixed Asian and Japanese, and all the how those intersection of identities kind of come into play.
That's super exciting. And
Yeah.
I mean, everyone in the Japanese community that I've interviewed so far is super creative, and is, combining their identities in the most wondrous of ways. And one of the
Yeah,
ways that you do that is through art, music, and performance and
absolutely.
comedy.
Exactly,
Tell us
exactly.
more.
Yes. I know. I love to perform comedy and um talk about kind of the funny things that can happen when like where there's like a mixing of cultures and stuff. And I also say my parents met at UC Berkeley, and I make a joke that Berkeley is where Jews and Asians procreate to make kids who put on one-man shows about being biracial, which is me. So it's and when I'm in California, and that joke seems to really hit with because they know that UC Berkeley is a little that. It's a little that. So I make jokes about that. I make jokes about um yeah, it's been fun. I've been writing other material too about being half Jewish and Japanese, so and I've really loved I do feel like there's well, at least my Jewish relatives were very, very creative and creatively inclined, like loved, like my Grammy loved to go to the symphony and loved like music and playing music. And I know that my on my Grammy side, her brother had perfect pitch, and me and my brother both have perfect pitch, and we love classical music, and we so I think there's a very much a creative element. And my mom plays piano and taught me piano, so I think there's like element of like creativity coming from both sides of the family.
I'm just reminded, of the fact that when I was interviewing you, for the project, I wasn't really able to share too much about myself because the focus was on you and your family. But as you were talking just now, I'm like, I have to tell you that I was also one of these, music, educated, classical pianist, violinist, all of the
Wait,
above.
I didn't know
And so
that.
yeah, and I have a
Oh my
question for
God.
you. Do you think the pressure to practice and to be these amazing classical musicians came from one side in particular or both?
That's a really good question. So my mom is the one who well, the first lesson she did force me and my twin to go to it. But then we eventually did fall in love with it and like really fell in love with music. So it wasn't really my dad's side that I think, but from my mom, it wasn't really like really pushing to like be the best. Like me and my brother really did love classical music and doing that independently. Um, but I think maybe if anything, it was my mom's side. She did have one moment of tiger momishness of like making me and my brother do piano. But I'm glad she did. I'm glad she did because my mom taught me by ear, and she was like, "Let I'm gonna sign you up for lessons." I'm like, "Mom, I already know how to play. Like, what? I don't see the point in that." But
Child
um.
prodigy.
No, but I'm glad that she did, and like me and my brother really loved it. And I know it was something that my dad, my dad plays guitar because my Grammy taught him guitar and is kind of a musical person. And like her side of the family really loves the arts and music too. And also, oh my God,
Beautiful.
little thing, her family I know hosted because there were a lot of actors who were blacklisted for in Hollywood in the 50s. I forget why. Like I forget why for like
Communism?
yes, that's it. And my like
The Canadian knows this history.
thank you. Yes, I should. But they hosted dinners with like actors and stars who were blacklisted at like their house. They hosted dinners at their house to like be like let's strategize. How do we, isn't that crazy? That was just something I think that like at least their family has always been like involved in the arts, and at least in Hollywood they were like involved with when it came to like blacklisted artists and celebrities. They would host dinners with them.
So you would fit right in. I mean, you're definitely passing on the torch there. How does music weave itself into your work these days?
Music, I do musical comedy first and foremost. So a lot of my like jokes will lead into a song, or they will be, bookended by a song. And also I just that's how music is influenced by my comedy. So a lot of the things I'm writing are comedy songs, or they might be underscored by music, the comedy that I do. So it's a toss up, but I always love to incorporate music into everything I do. I really feel lucky that I learned music. Like it's such a cathartic way to express emotions, and it's such a centering, healing thing. I feel music, and I know that I feel like it's a very healing thing in the Jewish community and for my ancestors too, and I know on the Japanese side too. So I feel very, very connected to music.
That's great. And I am a little bit jelly that you were taught how to use your ear uh, when learning as a child, because I was classically trained through the Royal Conservatory of Music method.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, 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 yeah.
it's a very different scene. I mean, I'm an
Very
excellent sight reader.
different.
You can put anything in front of me and I'll play it. But, God forbid if you want to improvise or if you make a mistake. And, I can play Chopin and all the nocturnes with the best of them. But you put me in front of a group of people and they throw a fiddle in front of me and they're like, here, start playing with this group. I don't know what key they're playing in. I don't even like,
Uh-huh.
I don't know the chords. I don't know nothing. I need sheet music in front of me. I really do feel like, in many ways, some of the classical training has prevented me and has really, in fact, limited me in my musical knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm actually the opposite. I'm more orally um like I feel better like sounding out than orally. I'm more oral. No, I just like I'm more ear.
Mhm.
Ear, I
I mean,
can
oral's
sound out.
great too.
Oral is really good. You can't count that out. But I'm better at like sounding out stuff and like improvising. Sheet music, I'm useless. I'm such a bad sight reader. But I also will agree with you on like how the classical training can limit like the like modalities of music available now, like when it comes to like playing songs and sounding out chords and just jamming and grooving, like it's very kind of one track method. um so I know I do wish there was like a more holistic kind of and a lot of classical teachers will look down on pop music, and a lot do.
Hmm.
So I do wish it was more
Yeah.
like kind of integrative and holistic when it came to like classical music training.
I'd like to believe that times are changing and there are more
Yes.
creative teachers out there and more open to. I was
Yes.
actually interviewing a Japanese couple yesterday in Neve Shalom, which is a Arab and Jewish village where they live together. And
Uh-huh.
they are a classical piano duo and
Whoa.
super interesting. They're actually the first ever representation of Jewish and Japanese, aside from my parents, that I ever met. I was maybe 10 years old when I first met them.
Wow.
And we were at the Pacific Rim Festival on Vancouver Island in Ucluelet and Tofino. My sister was participating in the music festival there, and they were invited guests. And we were just
Hmm.
reminiscing last night and today over that. And he has developed um, a new teaching pedagogical method. And I was brought up on
I
Kelly
love
Kirby. I
that.
don't know if you know that. And it's very colonial, very British. old school way of learning.
Yeah,
And this is
Hannon,
just very
I know.
cool. Yeah. And I saw the new stories and it's really fun and it's offers the teacher the ability to also play in concert with the student. And so it's just, yeah, love the creativity. So
I
it's
love
happening.
that.
It just, yeah. And it's a Japanese
That's good.
experience. So
I know. That's freaking awesome. That's freaking
I know, right?
awesome. Yeah. I know. I know. I feel like a lot of, I mean, the Japanese people I know, very creative, very, very creative. I love, and I really love to hear that and like it's kind of validating.
And speaking of creative and being recognized, you are currently in Los Angeles working for somebody uber famous. How's
Yes,
that
yes.
going for you?
I enjoy it. I'm just really I feel it's a really warm space, and like everyone at the job is everyone in the writers room, everyone at the job is very warm and nice and been very welcoming. So I've honestly been having a really, really fun time, and I'm kind of sad that the job is gonna end at the end of April, but I plan to stay here in LA anyways, but I'm really happy that I'm enjoying the job and that it's going well so far.
So I have a question. Where I also, so I work a little bit as a consultant in the animation industry, and there's not only movement towards making or showing more representation and diversity in front of the camera, whatever gets on screen, but also to
Mhm.
diversify those behind the screen. And I'm just curious, how diverse is it in the writer's room?
It's I think it recently got a little more diverse with me and like so
You're like
um
Jewish, Japanese, Asian,
check, check,
queer.
check, check. No, yeah. Um, but I think for a while the room, and along with a lot of other writers' rooms, have been very predominantly white male, cis. Um, but I think there are like what I was seeing and what I sensed was in the recent years it's more diversified racially and culturally. So I think that's how it's been. There aren't as many queer people as I thought that there would be, but
Mhm.
I've learned about like the other queer people that work there, and we've kind of like bonded. We're like it's like my gay work husbands and wives. But uh yeah, it's been a um positive experience. So
That's wonderful. I'm just curious. Are there any taboo topics that you feel that you can't bring into the not just the writer's room, but like your own work is your own work, and I'm sure you have creative license to do whatever you want. But like,
mhm.
in entertainment, do you feel like you can bring up queer jokes that you can talk about the queer community, about being Jewish, about being Asian, or do you feel like you have to censor
Mhm.
yourself in any way?
Well, yeah, that's because within my stand-up set, I talk about like I say all the queer jokes and I talk about being mixed Asian and I'm able to like bring all that. But as a writer for like the show that's on CBS, and a lot of the time it's like a lot of like coming through the lens of James Corden, it like it's like it doesn't really, so I've had to a little bit like um kind of yeah, in a way of like not being um yeah, not being able to like write jokes about being like mixed Asian, mixed Japanese Jewish on the show. But I think in it's like I'm able to like funnel that creativity in other channels in other ways, but also like find enjoyment in like writing with the team and working and bouncing off ideas with other writers and like the execs and the producers and stuff, and be collaborative in that way.
And speaking of collaborations, one that I've heard from multiple people uh, who I know who knew that I was interviewing you for the Japanese Oral History Project were like, oh my God, you're talking to Dylan. They know you from Rape
Oh
Victims Are Horny Too.
my God, people. Oh, that's awesome to know.
Yeah, yeah. That's made
Cool.
quite a round in a lot of people. I still have yet to see it. And I really want to make sure that I make time to do that. And I'd love
Hmm.
to hear one, how did that come into be? Tell us more about your working relationship
Totally.
with Kelly.
Absolutely. Kelly is also half Jewish too. Um, Kelly, yes, uh, we met because we met at an open mic, and I was doing musical comedy material based off of my experience as a rape survivor, and then I saw her material based off of it, and we just kind of were like, what if we did an hour of this? So we kind of like met, and then Kelly also, she went through that experience of calling out Harvey Weinstein at the comedy show that he was booked on, and um so she got a lot of like, press and publicity around that, some positive, some a little like overwhelming, and for her. So, but she was able to like have a comedy show, and then she booked me on it, and I was able to do my musical comedy material about being a survivor, and we really connected and we really clicked. And she came over one day, and we like started to like write songs about our experience, and it was really cathartic and really healing, because we talked about like, we had a lot of similar experiences about like therapists literally like kind of gaslighting and slut shaming us, and like we talked about like the experience, how common it is as a survivor to feel like this sort of imposter syndrome about like the experience not being enough, because there's a narrative fed about like the only way, the only rapes there are it's someone jumps out of the bushes and then like chloroforms, and it's like it's like such a cartoon, and
So
like
unlikely.
99,
Yeah.
yeah, 99% of the time, like rape is not this like cartoonish kind of depiction of it. It's like so we talk
It's
about that
someone
in the
you know,
show.
usually
Exactly, someone someone
can
who,
be in a
it's not like
relationship with.
relationship with, exactly, 100%. It's not like the kind of story that's been like fed to people. So I think we like, in talking about that and talking about like, it's how complicated and like it can feel, because you also are feeling, you are feeling like emotions of fear, along with like sexual, like you feel these like very conflicting and complicated emotions that we both feel. So it was like, first and foremost, cathartic to talk about someone on this level, who isn't a therapist, who isn't like someone who's like, yeah, who's someone who's like, oh yeah, same, oh my God, absolutely. And then when we wrote the show and tried to like, and injected comedy, our own like comedic voices into it, and like try to inject light, as well as acknowledge like the gravity of it. It was so healing, and I think it was healing for other people. It was absolutely healing for us to write, and so yeah, that's kind of the whole experience of it. Sorry, I rambled a lot.
Oh no, it's great. I heard that it was extremely profound, and I know it's a heavy topic, but I do look forward to watching that myself as someone who's also
Yeah,
gone through a whole bunch of difficult experiences
totally.
in relationships, and also, not. It's difficult. We don't talk about a lot of these things
Absolutely.
often publicly and with humor, which
Yeah.
is something that I think Jewishly we excel at.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You're like, rape? Let's
1000%.
laugh about it.
Let's make jokes from our experience and just, I mean, like, it's like out of pain. And I think this is something that like Jews definitely, there is something very, it's so healing to take a painful experience that you went through and like make it into something that makes you and maybe other people laugh. That's very cathartic. It's
Mhm.
very cathartic, and I know it's something that a lot of Jewish comedians do very, very well. And it's something, yeah, I don't know. That's yeah.
Something that I would love to watch a comedy show on, but done tastefully, obviously, like not just anyone, would be on workplace harassment in particular.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. So if you do come across of anything like that, that I think really hits close to home for me and a lot of people. Um, this is also something that often is not talked about, not nearly
1000%.
enough. Yeah,
100%. Yeah,
yeah.
completely.
So what other projects are you working on? Like what you said that you're now staying in Los
Yeah.
Angeles. Have you abandoned your place in Brooklyn?
Well, we'll see. I'm still a little bit up in the air, but I may just kind of settle down here. I'm not sure. Maybe.
You're coming back to the West Coast,
I'm coming back
baby.
to my homeland, my homeland. But yeah, I'm working on a solo show. I'm working on a pilot about me and my gay identical twin brother. Um I know I'm working on yeah, I'm working on some fun um projects, and along with just like trying to relax during this break and watch some TV and make time for some old friends.
I love that. I love that for you.
Yeah.
How are you celebrating being all of your identities these days? Being Jewish, queer, Japanese.
Yes, yes. Um, I think from from food, I know when I go home that we're gonna make latkes, and I also know that we're gonna have a sushi party too at our house. I know we make our own, we make sushi at home, and I know we're gonna have some of our, they're not Japanese, but they're half Chinese, half Jewish, and they're gonna come over for the sushi,
You're like,
and we're gonna
okay,
make
we'll
sushi.
we'll allow you in.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah,
Jew
but
Asian? Okay, okay, okay. You can
exactly, exactly. And it's like it's because also they met at UC Berkeley too, and that's how my mom. It's my joke is real.
It's real.
Like that.
They
It's
do say
real.
that jokes are based in, there's truth to jokes.
Yes, there's some truth. So that yeah, so and it's like one of my I call she's my auntie, like Auntie Mimi, and like that's where like I've known her all my life, and like her like Jewish Chinese children are like my cousins, like who I grew up with, kind of like so yeah, yeah,
I love
uh,
that. Well, I'm
yeah.
holding on to a pin that I have here. It's 100%.
I love that. I love that. I love
I
that.
was trying to wear it
I
on
want to get
my
that pin.
my coat here, but it didn't work. It was out of the screen, so I wanted to show you that I'm a
I want
supporter
to get
of being
that
one.
pin. That's a great pin. I want to get that.
Yes, well, you totally can. Kayla Isomorta created these.
Okay. Oh,
So
amazing.
yeah.
Cool.
Oh, there's so much that we could talk about. We could talk about being Japanese and queer all day long. Turns out you and your brother are also both queer and Japanese. And I'm just curious if when you
Yes.
were growing up, uh, what was your coming out story to the two of you and then to your folks?
I know. So basically, the coming out process happened. A friend of ours came out as trans, and we were driving home, and we were like, oh my God, that was so brave. And I like turned to Max, and I was like, honestly, like the most porn I watch is of guys, and he was like, same. So that's how we came out. He was the first person I came out to, and he was like, yeah, same. Um, and also we were kind of fighting a lot up until that point, but after that we stopped like fighting as much. It was like really kind of like a nice um like bridge of connection there. And then we came out to our mom and dad, and we're fortunate because they're liberal and accepting. And I think me and my twin brother, well, it was I, I feel fortunate because I had my twin brother, because then after we came out to our parents, we just pretty much came out to everyone as like a double act a little bit. Like we had a big tour. We had a coming out tour a little bit around California to our families and friends. And like it was nerve-wracking, but I feel like we were very fortunate in that like most everyone was accepting because we grew up in like a pretty fairly liberal place.
How old were you?
I was 16, 17. Yeah, around that
Hmm.
age, 16 or 17 is when we
Yes.
came out to yeah, everyone in our family.
That's amazing. And to be
I
able to
know.
have someone to do that with, also, it's so special.
I know. I also have a joke about, so we came out really to everyone except for our Japanese grandparents, because my mom was like, do they know what being gay even is? Like we weren't sure if they would just understand. But then eventually my brother got a boyfriend. My Obachan was coming to my brother's graduation. So and his boyfriend was there. So my mom pulled my Bachan aside and said, "Oh, Bachan, I have to let you know Max and Dylan are both gay." And she at first kind of like diverted a little bit, but then she eventually came around to say, it's like, I think it's this generation, I think it's okay. And then we were like,
Way
"Oh,
to
Bachan, we
go,
love."
Basan.
I know, way to go, Obachan. And we were like, we love you, Obachan. And she said, I love you guys. And then like afterwards, my mom was like, the fuck? She never said that to me before. Excuse me? It's funny, I know. But
Times have changed.
times have changed. But yeah, I feel pretty um fortunate and yeah, about and grateful that the experiences for the most part were positive and coming out.
That's beautiful.
I know.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. And I know it's already hard to come out as well. And I know it can be like way more difficult for people. So I'm like very grateful.
For sure. Like it's very different from person to person. And like in
Totally.
addition to your family, like, you're also multiracial and there's just a lot of other intersecting identities going on there too. So
Totally.
really, really incredible that it was a positive experience.
Hmm.
I was curious, and I can't remember, and I'm so sorry. I have been interviewing so many Japanese people that I can't keep everyone's story straight. But did
It's
you
okay.
grow up attending shul or synagogue at all?
No, we didn't. I didn't attend, but like we celebrated Hanukkah and Passover, but I never had a bar mitzvah, which I did wish I had, but I had a lot of a lot of friends of mine did go to temple and had bar and bat mitzvahs, but I did not.
I asked because I was wondering if, what was if on the tour of your twin brother and you coming out, if you made a pit stop at the local synagogue, be like, also, he's gay.
Yes, yes. In the Bay Area, like all the synagogues are very, very reform and very kind of everyone is very liberal and accepting. And I remember one of the at the synagogues, one of the uh the rabbis was gay. So it was like very, it was, yeah, it was very kind of more open, I think, in the Jewish community, at least where I grew up.
You know, something that has been coming up with not all of the interviews, but a good chunk of them in North America for the Japanese project is a bunch of us haven't done a variety of cultural ceremonies, whether they be
Hmm.
Jewish, such as a bar but or b'nai mitzvah,
Hmm.
or dressing up in kimono for coming of age in the Japanese
Hmm.
tradition. And so one
Yes,
of the
yes.
things that I would love to do um, is to organize trips for Japanese people who haven't been to Japan or haven't been to another
Oh,
ancestral homeland, whether that's, you know, Poland, Germany, or
yeah.
Israel, if that means anything
I
to
would
people.
love, yes, yes, yes.
Because I
I
remember
would
now, you
love,
haven't, like me, been to Japan, right?
I haven't been to Japan. I haven't been out
First
of the
one.
country, and I know, like, yes. Oh wow,
The
it's still
first one.
burning.
We're running out
First
of
one to go.
time, Dylan.
Um, I haven't been to Japan, and I haven't been, I know my ancestors from Poland, Ukraine. I think but I would love to visit to visit those areas,
I'm gonna
and
make this
and I know
happen,
I've
and we're gonna go together,
yeah.
and we
Yeah,
are going to take our friends, just go
I'd love
and
that.
see Japan and see Poland. I haven't been to either of those countries, and those are my ancestral homelands too.
Oh shit. Oh my God. Yes, I
I
have to
know.
go.
Can you imagine
Yeah.
us like running around trying to figure out like what to do
Just
and be like,
crazy ass
we
queer
don't
people.
understand any of this.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Yeah. I love
Are you
that.
vegetarian?
I'm not. I'm not.
This is really good news because I mean, nothing against vegans or vegetarians, but Japan is really difficult to navigate otherwise. And I just really also
Yeah.
just want to eat everything while I'm
I
there.
want to eat everything. I want to have the ramen that comes from the vending machines. I want to do
Yes.
all the stuff. Yes.
I just want to have all the really cool toilet and bidet experiences that everyone
Oh my
keeps
God,
raving about,
same. Same, same. I want to
right?
experience, yeah, it's all the cleanliness, all the just kind of advanced tech. Yeah, I want to experience that.
Well, we have very few candles left. This one is the only one that's going now. The rest are almost out. Is there anything that you would like to add? Perhaps a Hanukkah memory from family, or one that you
Hmm.
would like to
Yeah.
create? Or perhaps, I don't know, do you celebrate Christmaka or another tradition that is coming up?
Christmaka. Um, you know what? Something I would like to make a tradition during Hanukkah. Um, I would love, because I also feel so connected to music too. And because it's also one of my sister loves when we do the Hanukkah prayers and then also sing happy birthday after. I would love to like maybe sing a Japanese song that my Oji-chan and Oba-chan um um sang afterwards, which I think we actually did. I did last year, which is a song that my sister loves because we're already in the singing mood to sing their song that they sing. It goes Kamome no Sui-san Nararu wa Sui-san Shiroi moishi shiroi satsu shiroi gugu Nani chapu chapu karanderu. And then we end with let's go because that's what my Oji-chan ends with. So I think to end with that song after we light the Hanukkah candles, I'd love to do that.
I love that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
beautiful. It's so Japanese and it's so you and your family, and the fact that, you know, these are songs that already exist in the repertoire of your family.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Do you know what
yeah.
it means, that song?
I don't. I just know the words because my Ojichin and Obachan sang it to me, but I know it's a children's song. Yeah,
Amazing. Well, we'll have to find if someone is listening to this and
yes.
knows the words to that song. Oh, there they go.
Yes.
See?
Oh, there they go. There they
Please link
go.
it in
Link
the
it.
comments below so that we can figure
Yeah.
it out. Because I didn't grow up with Japanese, but the fact that you can sing that and well, I mean, you're a musician, so that makes sense. And for
Yeah.
years
And
before I knew Hebrew, I was saying things in Hebrew without really understanding what they meant as well.
yeah, I mean like I know because my Ojichin and Obachan didn't teach us many Japanese things, or but they had these songs that were like that they sang to us as little kids that we still sing. So it's kind of a nice little thing.
Well, thank you so, so much, Dylan Adler.
Thank you so much for having me, Carmel. This was so so nice and lovely, and I love you and your and this project, and I can't wait to see it unfold even more.
Me too. I'm super excited. It was an honor to interview you then, an honor to have you as a JQT Hanukkah Hottie for our sixth candle as well.
Amazing.
Be sure to check out all of Dylan's amazing work on his socials, the website, and information. All of that is in our event description. Thank you to our sponsor organization, Creating Accessible Neighborhoods, as well as our partner organization, our community partner organization, LGBTQ at the J. And thank all of you for tuning in to JQT Hanukkah Hotties. Happy Hanukkah and Chag Hanukkah Sunday.